Hey guys, it's Q&A Tuesday? No. Let's try that again. Hey guys, it's Q&A Tuesday. First question comes from Gabrielle. Hey Roman, this is Gabri from Italy. I've been following your channel for a while now, and I want to say I really enjoy it. I really appreciate the way you explain your world and the point of view on it. Very helpful for young and fresh watch enthusiasts like me. I was lucky enough to inherit the watches of my grandfather, vintage chronos, and Universal Geneve, Gerard Perregaux, and Arcadia, but now it's time to get something more reliable, talking about quality and wearability, and yeah, Rolex is on top of the list. My question for you is the following. Go with the heart or go with the mind? My mind brings me to the sub, the new 41 millimeter, black on black. I put myself on a list at the Portofino AD 4 months ago. My heart goes straight to Panerai, but it seems nobody actually believes in the brand. As for the first luxury watch, I would like something that is at least holds value, but Panerai isn't really reliable on that. What would you suggest? You always say watches are not investments, but how far? Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and work. Keep going strong. Best regards, Gabrielle. Gabri. Seems that's what you go by, not Gabrielle. It's a very, very simple answer. If your heart is with Panerai, and this is the watch that you want, obviously having deep roots, deep Italian roots as a brand, etc., I certainly tell you to go with Panerai. Is this going to hold its value? No, it's not. If you go out there and buy it new at full retail, then it won't. You can get out there and buy one pre-owned. You can get out there and buy one brand new at a discount just the same. I mean, I can sell you Panerai at a discount, right? So I would tell you to do two things. If your heart is with Panerai and you're worried about the resale value, you know that if and when you do get the Submariner, if you get it fairly soon, you're going to end up making a little bit of money on it. Then take that, so sell the Submariner, take the profit from the Submariner, buy yourself the brand new Panerai that you want if you want to go the brand new route, find it at a discount, which you can today, unlike Rolex, take that profit, subtract it from the amount of money that you paid for that Panerai, and now you give yourself a head start in terms of value retention. Panerai is never going to go down to $0, right? So let's say if you get out there and pick one up at 30 off retail, and then let's say you make a couple of grand on the other watch, and now you take that off the price, and you're into this Panerai, let's say at 50 off, then you're ahead of the game. And odds are you're going to end up with a watch which you're going to wear, enjoy, love, and at the same token, it'll be money in the bank. So if you do decide to resell it or trade it up, you should be able to get your money out of it. A bit of a different twist on answering that question. Hope it helps. Here's a good question from Fon Alan Duke. And again, I'm getting that from your email address, I'm assuming. So I hope that's actually your name. I think I have a good question, but we shall see. With counterfeit watches becoming harder to tell the difference from authentic versions, of primary production of these fake versions happening in Asia, I feel like pre-owned watches from this part of the world come with a higher risk. Since your organization operates in that part of the world, how often do you run into fake versions from sellers, say over a year or a set amount of time? And is it more common in certain parts of the world to be presented fake watches by owners who were unaware, or is it all over? It's actually a very legitimate and good question. It's very tough not to mark Asia as, you know, the capital of fake things being made.
What you said? Copy watch and back?
Handbag?
Copy watch.
Okay.
Good morning, sir. Watch is copy. Rolex copy my shop.
No, it's not that good.
There's an entire city that is dedicated to making fake stuff. From Hermes Louis Vuitton bags to shoes, sneakers, jewelry, watches, etc., 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 right? Does that mean that fakes aren't made elsewhere? Yes, there are plenty of fakes out there that are made elsewhere. There's a lot of fakes that are being made in Italy. The difference between the fakes being made in Italy, they're made maliciously to pass off as new watches, where a lot of the stuff that's made in Asia is actually meant to be passed off as a fake watch, right? And when you go to that big city that sells all that fake stuff, I haven't been there. A guy I know has been there. And the story he told me, I maybe actually want to go there and check it out, right? But it doesn't necessarily mean that pre-owned watches that came from Asia have a higher risk of being a fake watch versus elsewhere, right? Pre-owned watches usually carry a different type of risk, not the fact that it's fakes. And those risks are mostly them being stolen.
Man, that watch is so hot, it's smoking.
If you don't have the paperwork, oftentimes you don't know where the watches came from, whether they came off of someone's wrist and things of that nature. They have a lot higher risk. And that risk is very, very minimal. And with that said, it's still higher than that of, I am going to get a pre-owned watch that's fake. And yes, we do operate in Asia quite a lot. We have an office in Hong Kong, I told you guys before. And in my entire career, I have not seen fake watches there. You don't see fake watches in Asia. You don't see fake watches in shows stateside. You have to consider the fact that the group of people that are there are still professionals, right? We still know what we're doing. It is extremely, extremely hard for a fake watch to pass through somebody's hands and not say, hey, this is fake. There are some instances at these trade shows where a dealer will walk around to, you know, a guy like me for AP or a guy like Adam for some vintage things and say, hey, something is funny about this watch.
That's kinda sus.
That's when we carefully examine the watch, loop the watch, if need be, take the watch apart and do some due diligence in that way. But again, nothing is out there to say that me or other guys that have been in business for 20 plus years cannot be duped, because with today's technology, it can happen. The thing of it is that it won't happen within our industry. The only way it can happen within our industry, let's say a dealer bought something from a private who took it in a trade, and that private individual either maliciously knew it was fake or didn't know it was fake, and the watch was so good that he deemed it to be real. He then sold it to another dealer, but eventually it all comes back. So, and you know, 99.999% of the time, a fake watch will not slide into our industry, regardless of what region you may be in. But the fake business, it's a huge business. You guys remember the video I did when I called the video, you know, destroying $100,000 worth of watches, and obviously they ended up being fake. Ian, if you want to play that little clip, that was so. So yeah, I had a lot of fun doing that. But that stuff, that's a multi-billion dollar business all on its own. Hello? 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 So I hope that sheds a little bit of light into that question. Let's move on to the next question. And this question comes from Smitty. Dear Roman, thank you for all your effort you put into your videos. I've been watching your channel since the beginning, but this is my first time reaching out. Thank you. I will keep it short and sweet. I am slowly but surely beginning to like the Rolex Pepsi 126710 BLRO and the Royal Oak and your reference numbers. That's a good Royal Oak. In steel with white dial. For the Rolex, while I have a quote-unquote good relationship with my ID, it sadly isn't good enough to make me a VIP, quote-unquote. If I want this watch, I will have to wait possibly more than 2 years. I understand that one should purchase what they like and continue to wear as you preach. However, seeing as they traded one at double their retail price, is this a good purchase or a logical purchase? Same applies to Royal Oak. I don't even know where to begin the process of purchasing one, and I understand that since I don't even know how to get one, I probably won't get one at list as well. I inquired at an AD, we don't have a boutique in Australia, and a senior sales rep from a large and global dealer, won't be named, said they simply aren't available. Thank you for your time. Well, let's go to AP real quick. Call back that same dealer and say, look, I'm looking to purchase 2 watches. I want the code 1159 Tourbillon that just came out. But along with that, I would like to get the 15500 stainless steel chrono and see how fastly that watch becomes available. I've talked about this before. The fact that he told you it's not available is a bunch of horse shit. I'm sure he has one, maybe even more of those pieces in the back of his safe for cases such as like when somebody wants to come in and say, oh, you know what, I want to buy this diamond encrusted Royal Oak for my wife for $120,000. But for me, I would like to get a stainless steel chrono, right? They will sell it to you, and every dealer will sell it to you. Same goes for the Pepsi. If you walked into that dealer and said, hey, I want the stainless steel Pepsi, and I want the platinum diamond baguette bezel president along with it, you'd be surprised how fast that Pepsi becomes available. And I don't blame the dealers. I don't make them out to be the bad guys. I've told you guys numerous times before, you know, a lot of ADs out there right now are getting killed left and right by the companies who want to sell stuff through their boutiques and not allocate enough stuff to them, or by guys like us on the internet, right? So I don't blame them for doing that. But what is your choice here? If you really, really want the watch, and paying the premium, whatever Royal Oak you decide to go with is really the only way to go. The odds of you walking into any store and trying to pick up this watch somewhere are slim to none. You could call the boutiques around the world. You can simply call an AP boutique in New York and say, look, I'm from Australia. We have one AD here who simply told me this watch is not available. I'm a fan. I want to wait. Can this watch be bought? Can I be put on some sort of a list, etc.? And maybe they will do that, and maybe it will take you 2 to 3 years to get one, but then you don't know what the market is going to be like. So, you know, not a whole lot of options here. Get out there, find some of these watches pre-owned, save a little bit of dollars, bite the bullet, pay the premium, and enjoy the watch. In terms of a logical purchase, is any expensive toy out there a logical purchase? Is a Ferrari a logical purchase? Toyota Corolla will get you from point A to point B comfortably and safely just as much as an S500 Mercedes will. But is anything that's ultra expensive out there a logical purchase? No. To use the word logically is, I feel it's almost inappropriate in a case where you're buying yourself an expensive toy. Told you guys, I collect vintage guns, right? Dating back to 1700, right? Theoretically, all that stuff that I buy is money in the bank, and I can in turn probably sell it, maybe lose some money, maybe even gain some money over time. But is it a logical purchase? No, because it's not a necessity. It's a hobby. If this is something that you want, and this is something you want now, and you don't see any options but to pay a premium on that stuff, and that's what you go out there and do. And that's really the only advice I can give here. Hope that makes sense and helps. Here's a cool question from Nathaniel. Hey Roman, love your channel. Thanks for all the effort you put in. Thank you. I'm a 40-year-old teacher of a strange kind. I teach the entire USA high school curriculum to only one student at a time. Wow. Full-time, anywhere in the world. I concentrate on students who have special educational needs. Think of me as a professional homeschooler. I typically wear polos or t-shirts and jeans to work with teenagers. After all, that's the backdrop of my daily wear watch decisions. It's a cool job, actually. I got about 20 watches now, all of which have sentimental values to one degree or another. For luxury watches, I've always been a Rolex guy. I have a black ceramic two-tone GMT, a DSSD D Blue, I'm guessing that's a deep sea blue dial. Two Explorers, the 114270 and the 214270, and a two-tone Datejust, the 16233. I love the look of Audemars Piguet design, but I know little about the brand compared to my Rolex knowledge. I'd like my next expensive toy, quote unquote, to be an AP. And I'd like an opinion of an experienced AP guy named Roman about the best AP options that complement my current luxury collection. My watches are not safe queens, and whatever AP I buy, I'll be wearing it in rotation for at least a decade. I have never sold a watch. My budget will be in the range of $20,000 to $40,000. If I didn't go AP, I'd probably stretch for a white gold Submariner, but I admire AP and I'd like to get into one. Thanks for any advice you're inclined to promulgate. Promulgate, it's a cool word, promulgate. Sports watches, sports watches, sports watches.
It's showtime.
You have a lot of sports watches, right? And that seems to be your daily wear, and rightfully so, based on your typical wardrobe. Seems like all those watches work with what you do on a daily basis, right? To complement your current collection, the fact that Royal Oak is a true sports watch, in fact, it was dubbed the first luxury sports watch, right? AP, remember? In 1972. But the fact that you have all these sports models, along them there are no gold watches, and you are considering a white gold watch, to tell me one or two things. Either you do need a gold watch in your future, or maybe you want to shy away from an old gold watch, which is rose or yellow, maybe because it might be a little too loud for you because you mentioned that you want the white gold Submariner. So, I don't know the answer to that question, but that's something you can answer yourself. But two, in my opinion, based on what I see you have, based on where you're going, I think a 15400 in rose gold on a bracelet would probably be a good bet. And whether you get on the strap on a bracelet, it will depend on how much money you want to spend. Just in case you don't want the gold, or the loudness of a old gold piece, I certainly would look into pretty much any steel Royal Oak out there. Start with the older 39mm chronos where you get the best deals. 15300, 15400, 15500. Any of the Royal Oaks that are out there in stainless steel, keep in mind you're going to be paying a premium for most of them in today's crazy market. So unless you go a little bit older, there will be no deals, but it'll still fit within that budget. And as far as the brand itself, I did a whole video on the history of AP. Make sure you check that out. Hopefully that will inspire you even more, in case you didn't catch that particular video. And I hope this answers your question somewhat. This is a really good one from Ryan. Hypothetical. Let's say the watch world is given a clean slate. All current brands and models exist, except our preconceived notions of brand value and population perception are totally gone. We can only judge a watch by its look, fit, finishing, etc. Do brands like Rolex, AP, Patek Philippe, and RM still reign supreme? Or is there a chance others like JLC or Girard-Perregaux become the lusted brands? Yeah, I normally don't pause between answering, but I actually want to think about this one for a second. So let's first talk about quality, right? Rolex, AP, Patek Philippe, Richard Mille, superb quality. In fact, in general, a majority of the majors from the Swiss world, they're all going to have a high quality watch. And again, it's only going to be fair if you're comparing apples to apples in terms of complications and finishes and things of that nature. It's very hard to compare a Rolex Submariner next to an Audemars Piguet perpetual calendar chronograph per se, right? Because again, two different watches. So you would have to do a comparison within the realm of what the watches are. If you said you wanted to rugged tool watch, then the Rolex is going to be second to none. I told you before, you can take a Rolex, throw it against the window, and it'll keep on ticking, right? If you want to talk about beautiful, complicated design, I'd probably end up going with AP, because this is where AP started their career. They started making most complicated watches, unlike some of the other brands that are in your list. If you want to talk about avant-garde design, yes, Richard Mille will still beat out some of the guys like JLC and GP, because look at how their watches look. Look at the use of materials and things of that nature, right? But, you know, there's going to be guys out there, if there's no brand on it, they won't touch that with a 10-foot pole.
We got Astro World, we got the Heat Transfer Supreme, Drip God 101.
So it's not so easy to wipe that slate clean mentally, even knowing what's going on in the world today and what these things are selling for. But I certainly think that the playing field would be a lot more evened out if you took those factors out. But we live in a world where that's not actually very possible, right? It's the same. I've talked about Louis Vuitton t-shirts in my last Q&A, right? You take two white t-shirts, one is Louis Vuitton, the other one is Calvin Klein. And that little LV logo that's on the other t-shirt, you know, makes that thing $500 versus $5, right? I think that every brand that is popular today will reign in its own right, depending on what you look at and what you compare it to. There are going to be certain things that other watch companies do better than others, right? If I had to go with a Tourbillon, I'm going to go with a Breguet every single time. But if I'm going to go in terms of durability, it's going to be Rolex versus GP, GLC, or anybody else. But then Panerai may come into play, because Panerai is also pretty durable, right? Same goes with some Breitlings, Tag Heuers, and things of that nature. So yeah, this is a very, very tough one. What you're trying to do with this question is, let's say we're now erasing that competition, or we're resetting that competition. But this is what makes the watch industry so great. It's that competition. It's that constant struggle to stay on top. But is that really true only for the watch industry? It's true for any industry, be it the car industry. It doesn't really matter, right? It's very hard to get to the top. It's even harder to stay on the top. It's not really fair. No, obviously, is it possible to do that type of reset? But I think you would have a lot more guys out there in line with the brands that you just mentioned that are on the top, if you were to take off the brand name and go with certain watches in terms of their look, quality, durability, and things of that nature. Really, really great question. I got to tell you, I was a bit stumped. So I hope I made some sense as I was blabbing on about this. I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you again for all your questions. Remember, keep emailing me those questions to romansharf@luxurybazaar.com. This is what makes this show possible. I can't make this stuff up. So as long as you guys keep submitting, I'm gonna keep turning on that camera, and I'm gonna keep answering your questions. Other than that, hit the like button, subscribe button if you're not a subscriber and watching this, and remember, share this with your friends that you think may like this content. This is what helps my channel grow organically. Other than that, I'll see you guys next Tuesday.